Welcome to This Morning on Asakhe podcast, your daily dose of insightful conversation on current affairs, politics, and social issues. Please share and also follow us on social media at SiteZW. Now, stay tuned to today's episode.
A very good morning to you guys. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of This Morning on Asakhe. My name is Brighton. It's quite cold here in Bulawayo, man. I hope you guys are warm wherever you are. Good morning to you, Nosasa.
Good morning, Brighton, and good morning to our guests.
Today on the show, we're looking at the Kenyan protest, man. A lot has been going on in Kenya. We saw social media platforms, all TVs are reporting on that. People have died there. Police brutalities are happening there. Over the financial bill, people are saying, no, these taxes are too much for the people in Kenya. Joining us this morning is That's Emmanuel, Gona, an activist based in Kenya, to help us understand more about this bill and also what's happening there in Kenya. Good morning to you, Danny.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. Say, maybe give us a background of what's happening there in Kenya, or what led to this protest in Kenya.
I would say a lot of things, but what actually instigated the protest is actually what we are calling the Finance Bill 2024, a bill that was brought to the Parliament, and it is actually touching on very many issues that will be affecting the common citizens out here. And that's when the young people actually decided to come out and reject the bill by actually talking to the representatives, we call them the Member of Parliament, so that they can listen to them and at least cancel the whole bill. Unfortunately, in the process, there were some amendments that were mentioned. However, we were looking at the goodwill of these politicians, and it felt like, no, these amendments won't help us much. So the solution was actually to drop it off and probably see what best can be done, but not adopting it. By yesterday, the members of parliament were there, and after voting, it went to the third phase now. So yeah, that's what actually instigated the protest that we have been experiencing so far.
Well, thank you so much, Danny, for that background. What has been the response now to the protest in terms of the state reacting to what the young people of Kenya are saying with regards to the bill?
Well, I think that's where we have a lot of challenges, because one, those who are affiliated to the government, the party seems to be very much okay with whatever is happening. And at some point, in fact, I think the reason as to why we have these big protests is because these government officials have been talking bad about the people who are protesting. So you realize that they think like these young people are clueless. They do not know what they want. So now, being arrogant in such a case, I think it's totally unaccepted. So basically, the state thinks that whatever they have proposed must be the only thing that should be adopted. So if you listen to the president, for example, you'll just hear him saying, yeah, we'll listen to you, we'll accommodate your views. But again, listening to his speeches since he became the president, he has actually been promising things. So no one actually can listen to him and understand, because there is no way that you will always be promising and not saying anything. So it becomes very difficult for anyone actually to actually see the seriousness in this state.
Well, thanks so much for that. But also last night we saw the president, that's William Ruto, there addressing the nation on this protest. What are some of the issues that he touched on there? I know he spoke about the security forces, appraising them and so on. What are some of the issues that he touched on to try to address this issue that's happening in Kenya?
Well, nothing much. He actually, if you look at what is being actually discussed right now on this social media platform, you realize that they just called Kenyans criminals. You realize that those ones who are protesting have been doing it peacefully. But several were shot dead outside the parliament. That's something unacceptable. I mean, if you look at the human rights and everywhere, it's unacceptable. So the president coming in and calling Kenyans organized criminals and so on, I think it's something that doesn't go well with us as Kenyans, and especially the young people out here, because the demands are very clear, and people have been protesting peacefully. But I'm sure all of us now have seen how the police have been reacting. I think President Ruto doesn't live in reality, so he's not seeing the seriousness of the matter, and that's why he went ahead and I hear he has deployed the Kenya Defense Forces who will be helping in that. On the same end, I'm also hearing another place around Nairobi known as Githurai. We've had a lot of shooting, so it's actually we are not experiencing some good moments as Kenyans right now.
Well, thank you so much, Danny, for that. Maybe speak to us more about the human rights violations that have been happening during this time of this protest.
Well, I think what has been the most common one is actually these arrests and abductions. We expect if anyone is arrested should be arraigned in court at least within 24 hours. That is, if not arrested on a Friday, because if you're arrested on Friday, you'll be affected by the weekend. But all the other days, it is expected that within 24 hours, everything else is sorted. Unfortunately, those who are being arrested or rather abducted are not sent anywhere in these courts. So, like we have the LSK, the Law Society of Kenya, have been following up the people who have been abducted, and you realize that they are not seeing them anywhere in the court. So the only thing that we have tried to see is actually using the social media platforms and actually making a lot of noise, while the other those in the Law Society of Kenya following it up through different police stations and see whether they can track these people. So it's actually very confusing. Most of them are just abducted, then in the following day probably, or after very many hours, we see them out. So it's actually a very challenging moment for us, because at some point we do not know exactly where we can do a follow up on the same, because I also saw the Chief Justice, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, talking about this, saying that why are people arrested and we are not seeing them in any court. So that means there is also a conflict in the arms of government. So they are not working harmoniously, because if anyone is arrested, then definitely they are expected somewhere. And if they don't get into that, then that's something else. Those who have been arrested mostly are these social media influencers, the big influencers. So you realize that they just look at the activities happening on your, say, handle or the Twitter handle, then they do some tracking, get you arrested, and that becomes that.
Paint to us a picture of what's really happening on the ground in terms of protest, in terms of fatalities as well, what's happening on the ground. I know also there have been rumors around internet shutdown. Speak to us more about those issues that happen in Kenya.
It has been a peaceful demonstration altogether, but up to yesterday, I think we've seen last Thursday we had around two who died, and some were actually injured by the police in this case. So yesterday the same thing happened, but again yesterday we had a number of them being shot outside the parliament. We have some areas like the Githurai that I've mentioned that we've been hearing that people have been shot dead, and actually the most painful part is that they are actually not among the protesters. I do not know what happened actually, because we've seen people who Ruto was calling them the mamambogas, these who are selling vegetables and so being shot. So it's actually very much confusing to see such things happen. I'm told in Githurai 45 around 22 people or so have been shot. Also, we've been seeing some clips on in Kenyatta National Hospital, where but a good number were also injured. The police have actually been mishandling these protesters, and that's why we are seeing this. And again, it should be noted that the protests are not just happening in Nairobi only. We also have these protests in very many towns that's happening. So yeah, in some areas where these members of parliament decided not to listen to their citizens, I'm told that some have went on and burnt their houses, the houses of the members of parliaments. That is, I think, after feeling like these people are not representing them well, but yet that is yet to be confirmed. So actually, we can say around the country, everyone is protesting, unless you are affiliated to the government. But almost everyone is protesting. In fact, including some, or rather, a good number of the police officers are actually saying that, yeah, let people just go and demonstrate.
Well, thank you so much, Danny. So, earlier on, you spoke about how the president is not really keen on listening or addressing the issue that the young people are speaking about. Maybe speak to us also in terms of opposition as well. What are the opposition parties saying? Are they standing with the young people?
Well, the reason as to why I didn't even mention the opposition in this is because this is coming direct from the citizens. The young people are leading this. You see, most of the time, if you work with politicians, you realize that everyone has their own interest in any discussion that you're having. So you realize that this is basically done by the young people. And of course, as at yesterday, almost everyone was joining this protest. So talking about the opposition, well, the opposition have always been taking their own sides. Of course, they are supporting this, but this is basically being moved by the people themselves. So this one is basically about the citizens, the common citizens, nothing like a politician in it. There is no one who is looking at this is from this tribe or so that's just tribeless. And it started as a Gen Z movement, but with time, everyone else is coming on board. Yesterday, I was also on the streets, not in Nairobi. I saw a lot of people, old people, women and men who were joining this protest. So it's actually about Kenyans, and everyone is actually coming on board. In fact, we have even children who are saying that they are actually coming to protest because they have been chased away from schools. Their parents cannot raise school fees. And so they feel like they need to support this so that they can help in ensuring that at least that pressure is lowered on their parents, so that at least at the end of the day they can go back to school.
Young people of Kenya have gone out in their numbers. They've started this protest, and even children have joined because this is also affecting them directly. Some are no longer going to school because their parents cannot afford now because of these high taxes and all that. So I wonder if the young people of Kenya have always been so active in terms of civic participation. How is the media reporting on these protests? Are there also issues of misinformation and disinformation? And what is the impact of that?
You see, most of the time, I think there was a question on the youth and how they're handling things. Were they participating in civic engagement? So you realize that initially most of the young people were not that keen in participating in matters civic engagement. But this is a totally different case here. So you realize that a lot of pressure was brought in through X, to be specific. So this is where a lot of pressure started, and you see people now started organizing. So through those efforts, I think everyone out there now started to see this one isn't something that we are to just underestimate it. So I think the media houses have played a good role in this case. They are reporting what is actually happening on the ground, and I think by yesterday I saw one of the media houses saying that they have received some threats from some authorities there that it might be closed.
We've come to the end of the show for this Wednesday morning. And thank you so much for your time, Danny.
Thank you so much, guys, for listening in.
For myself, Brighton Ngube,
And Nonhlanhla Mabigwa,
it's bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode. For feedback, you can contact us on 263 777 470017. Don't forget to follow and like our social media pages.